Okay, so the class has begun. Say hello to the people watching on screen. David is one of those. Say hello. Hello. Excellent. Okay, so today's lesson we're going to focus on trying to understand native speakers when they're in conversation. Okay, so a lot of you expressed a few problems with this. So in the past couple of weeks, we were talking about the grammar of conversation. So, for example, the repetition of subjects. This is something that happens quite a lot in conversation, but doesn't happen in written grammar as much. Can you give me an example of that, João? Repeated subjects. Like you don't remember. Give me a subject. If I said, for example, Andrew, then finish that sentence, but repeat the subject.
He is very nice. Andrew.
Yes, but that's obviously false. Okay, so Andrew, he is very nice. Okay, but for the screen, very good work there. Okay, emphatic repetition of interlocutor utterances. Now, this is a very fancy way of saying, oh, it's very cold outside.
It's freezing.
It's freezing. Oh, look at that. He's in there. Good work. Okay, finishing other people's sentences. This very often happens in conversation. It never happens in the books, really. Okay, so we would say things like, if we go to the party tonight,
we'll get drunk.
We'll stay sober. Exactly, that's what we'll do. Okay? The next one then, overlapping. This is overlapping, like that. Okay? Overlapping speech. What does that mean?
When two people speak at the same time.
Yeah, so one person is speaking and then another person starts their conversation when the other person has not finished. This happens in conversation. Reformulation. This is basically what it says here. You change the speech, or you explain something because maybe the other person doesn't understand it. It's something you've already said, so you say it in a slightly different way. Okay? False starts. Any ideas what they are? Can you remember?
When you start again,
Why usually?
because you want to say another thing.
Yeah, maybe you made a mistake or whatever. Exactly. Okay? Absence of subjects. Can you give me an example of that? Gabriela? An absence of a subject in a sentence? Maybe a question?
Going to some place? Or
Yeah, going to some place, going to the party tonight. Okay, what's missing there? Are and you, so it's missing an auxiliary verb and it's missing the subject. And hesitances or hesitancies? Now you don't know the answer or you're okay, and then the last, the thing that I asked you to do the other day was under questionnaire, I said, oh, what problems do you have with conversation, or what are the issues that cause problems for you? So it could be unusual grammar, so it could be like the Irish present perfect, and you say, oh, I am just after finishing. What does that mean? I have just
finished.
I have just finished, exactly. If I said, oh, losing track of the conversation, so that means that you're speaking, and then maybe you come to a point in the conversation where there's a word you don't understand, and you focus a lot of your attention on that, and then the conversation continues, and you're like, where am I? Okay, so this can cause problems. Accents. Certain accents are problematic, such as, which accents would you say? English accent. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you Liverpool accents. Any accents in Ireland?
No.
Of course not. No. Slang might be difficult for a lot of you if you're not familiar with the idiomatic language as well. Contractions can cause problems. The pronunciation of them. Some people they lose concentration. Don't they, Eduardo? Hey, that's exactly right. So in the middle of the conversation, Eduardo goes, well, like this, okay, and then he comes back and he's lost. Next one then, background noise. So when you speak like this and then you hear background noise, it's going to cause problems for comprehension. Anxiety, maybe you're very nervous when you're speaking and then, or listening I should say, and that can cause issues. Lack of knowledge or lack of interest, so if you don't have any knowledge about the topic that they're talking about, well, you'll obviously lose track as well. Maybe the volume of them. Okay, so you understand that, so that can cause problems as well. And then the last one, mumbling. What is mumbling? Exactly. And who does that we know of? Owen, the director of studies. Okay, yeah, exactly. Okay, so today we're going to look a little bit about how to fix these problems. And basically, I can't fix all of the problems in one day, but we'll approach it from two different ways. So the first approach, way to fix these kind of problems is, well, go from the top down, okay? It's called top-down processing. So what you do is you use the context of the surroundings or what's in front of you and the knowledge you have about the world, okay, the context, to guess meanings. Okay, so this is supposed to represent that. This person is using all their knowledge about the world or whatever the situation is to make an inference about the meaning of the text. Here, this is bottom-up processing. Okay, so this is where you use the text and all the sounds that, now in text I mean listening text in this case, so you're listening to all of this. So sounds of individual phonemes, so of syllables, of words, of intonation, etc. So if somebody says to you, so you go home, your partner says, how are you today, Gianna?
I'm good.
I'm good, okay?
Not too bad.
So what had to be processed in that? I, m, g, u, d, all of those had to be processed. The word had to be processed. Ein, good had to be processed. All of those things, you're decoding all that information and to produce that. Or you could have just gone from the other way and looked at Diana smiling. Okay, and not like that though, okay? That's hideous, okay? So you can go from both sides, okay? So the first thing that we're going to do is look from the top down, okay? So we're going to do top-down processing. Now I'm going to show you a scene, okay? Or a few scenes, actually. I'm going to show you 4 scenes. And you are going to guess the topic of the conversation. This is basically conversational listening. You're going to guess the conversation topic just by looking at the video, okay? And then you will consult with your partner what your guess is at, okay? You understand that? Okay. Right, okay, so the first one, if the internet works, the internet has frozen on me. This is fantastic. Okay, discuss. What do you think that was? Okay, off you go. What do you think the topic of the conversation is? That's all you're going to see. There you go. There you go. What's this conversation going to be about? This is the first clip. I'm going to show you 3 more.
I
Okay?
think they are waiting
Okay,
for
off you go.
someone,
I think they are surprised with something.
and
Yeah,
I don't know,
someone
maybe suddenly they or he she get in from the room, so they are like standing up very fast. One of them was other are talking about let's go to drinks.
Yeah, I think
But
that's
they-
Like that, and I think the same.
It's only 1 second, so.
Okay, right? So that's the first clip. And the second clip, 27 seconds. Okay? So maybe this will add to the context that you already have. Okay, continue.
So we were right. They were waiting for someone. So after that, the businessman get into the room and
I think the first thing
I
that
think
he had to do was, how are you?
yeah,
Not
not too bad.
like, not bad, but,
Because
like,
of now,
he
he
was
was
like,
surprised and then trying to
Yeah.
everybody
Yeah.
So,
Raise
And they're talking about someone.
Yeah.
Okay,
someone.
alright, I'll play the next one. This is 1 minute 19 seconds, so I'm going to speed this up to double speed.
Yeah.
Okay.
think that that's a very
Yeah, and I thought he said that you have to sell your house or something like that. Because you have to move this place to this place. Did you see they were moving? And they were yeah, the old man got angry.
Everybody's calling you fine.
Yeah.
And they were talking of someone.
Someone who makes it, but someone who makes something because
Yeah, and he would do like
Businessman.
yeah, but like not only businessman, but yes, but like the one who really likes you.
Okay, right? And then the last one. And I'm going to double speed this again, sorry. Oops. Okay, off you go.
So, I don't know.
I think it's like he's got better. Oh. I think they are like playing.
I think she
And he asked if they want to go out the whole night.
yeah, but this one.
No, don't worry about it. Because she was like,
Like, we have to think about like in the context too, like, because like, we're talking about like,
yeah.
the one that he's going to sell or he's currently cash to sell his house, what, and he calling someone.
because maybe we misunderstand the context.
Yeah.
And they're talking about this
Probably. Yes.
No?
Oh my god.
Yeah, it could be.
Looking through a plan. Oh my god. You think they actually
I don't know.
I don't know.
Okay. Any suggestions, this group? What do you think happened?
First we don't know why this man just disappeared
Okay.
the rest of the video, and we think that the other two guys are complaining about something, and the woman gives some advice or
Okay, this group?
Yes, I think he knows something about his friends. The other guy, I think
So you
they
think
are
the other guy
friends.
are
They are
friends?
friends. There's something happy with the woman. I don't know if it's a good thing or bad thing. We think it's a good thing, but I don't know.
Okay, this group, what would you say?
We have two options.
Okay.
We have the first one. We think she, I don't know, she is in a relationship with the old man, and then he called to her because of his friend, I don't know. And we have the other option is because he, the man that arrived, he's trying to sell his house, and he didn't agree with that.
Okay, very good. And then this group?
We think that the woman is wife of the other man, or
That she's
after
cheating on them.
the other
Like the
man,
lawyer.
and something happens, and the guy came to check something because he was a little bit angry,
Yeah.
and he called to ask.
Okay, we'll see who was the most accurate. Okay, so.
They're expecting somebody? I'm always expecting somebody. If they show the front, they show the front up. Go ahead, Daddy. He's alright. He's gonna be alright. Hey! He's alive. Oh! Hey, buddy.
How you doing?
I'm alright. How are you doing?
Oh, God. I'm a mess. Yeah, so bad. Yeah, and the worst part is the musical's off.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
It was such a funny idea. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I'm really sorry.
Nice of you to come over, though, and say hi. That's really sweet of you. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Actually, you know what? Alright. I'm full of shit. The truth is, I'm here to ask your permission if I could date Cheryl. Boom.
Wow.
Wow.
You come over here under these false pretenses to see how I'm doing, and you want to date? No, if you're asking me, can you date Cheryl? I'd say no.
Just step back, just a second. This is a surprise to me too. We're friends. I didn't want to sneak around behind your back. I need to just go with my impulses, and my impulse is I want to go out with your ex-wife.
How's it like if I went out with Mary? Huh? Would you like that?
Stupid.
What does that mean?
It means you want to call my ex-wife Mary Steenburgen. Larry David wants to ask Mary Steenburgen out.
Oh, Larry David is not cool enough for Mary Steenburgen?
I just
But
see-
Ted Danson is? Is that it?
I didn't say that, but there's something in there.
Oh, okay. All right. You know what? I'll call her right now. How's that? How's that? I'll call Mary. Okay? Okay? You want me to?
Good.
Okay.
But then can we get back to this real subject?
Mary?
I can't believe it.
Hey, it's Larry David.
Hi, Larry.
Hey.
How you doing?
Good. Hey, Mayor. Let me ask you something. You know what's going on with Ted and Cheryl?
Ted told me he was interested in seeing her, and I told him to go for it.
Well, I was kind of wondering, if he's gonna go out with her, why not you go out with me?
Wow, Blair. Oh my gosh. God, I love you so much. I don't know if we have anything in common that way, you know?
Well,
Do you
we're
think?
people, we're earthlings, we breathe and we eat, so we have that in common.
Yeah, we have that in common, pretty much everybody, but I was just meaning, maybe you're just not my physical type.
Sure, I understand.
Hope we can have lunch or go shopping or do something together soon.
Okay.
Bye there.
What'd you say?
No. Not really her type. Physically.
Okay. Well, hey.
Yeah. So you gonna go ahead with this?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'd say this group here were the closest to it, but everyone here was more or less correct by saying they were friends.
Yeah.
How did you guess that? Okay, so with your partners, I want you to quickly answer those questions here. So it says stage 2 discussion questions. Okay, just quickly go through those with your partner. You don't have to write, just speak.
My God. No, don't do this. Say to me what you said. No, I think here it's because of the body language. Because when he came, the other person
You have 3 minutes. 3 minutes.
Yes, of course. Because how you can help necessarily when angry or when you're really stressed or
when he is about to
into her eyes like very
that she was changing very uncomfortable with the one with glasses.
No, I think he is like it's about she
There was, I don't know.
she felt about
When Mexico was in other movies, I believe it.
How
can inquire with because he arrived in
We know that we were like discussing for years.
And it's you.
Because of the law.
Yeah.
The black guy was stepping for him.
Yes.
He was coming.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the reason he moved out. To let them stay. Better way.
And you go to read your sheets of business.
Not all the time, but maybe some words that no.
2 minutes.
Using no, using no. Well, you are not reading the lips, but
Yes, but in his house.
probably yes, we can. But no.
And they want other words. I
Try
tried
it, but I can't.
some words in his house because he's very strict.
10%.
And even more. And
10%.
Like,
they are very.
Probably a little more, but not too much. No more than
Yeah.
that.
Yes.
No, I was looking like the expression of the body language.
Because I think we saw like they were like saying hello to each
Do you
other.
notice any cultural
We
reference?
thought that they were friends, but we are actually close.
Yeah.
So I think we were close, but we didn't.
Cultural.
yeah, it's because like, we have a cultural thing, like everybody just the person right now.
Yeah.
They always
He was there.
One minute.
Yeah, but probably yes, because the first.
They were friends.
How did the interaction between individuals, like or how they face each other, like face to face, also was face to face.
Which part?
Okay, okay. Like probably about the relationship with based on your observation, what predictions do you make about the nature of
And I
the
just
relationship?
But I understand that he came to check him, you know, like.
But after I saw his
say,
expression,
Yeah, like,
the
the beginning was good
I
because
saw that he was like.
we thought that they had
Yeah, but he's checking. No, but he was
then
But the first time,
suddenly
yeah, but
they had a
like
problem.
so something happened. And he's go like to check if he's okay.
What predictions can you make for the relationship?
Okay. Okay, we'll go over this. I'm going to ask you a few questions. Okay, so when you were watching those videos, did any of you really focus a lot on the gestures that the people were using or not?
Yeah.
Like, what gestures did you notice and you said, well, that means this?
The hug, the hug when they match.
Okay, so the hug at the start, so that will give you the indication of what?
Yeah,
We are friends.
The indication they're friends. When you looked at did anyone focus on the environment?
Yeah.
So what did you think about the environment?
Was a house.
It was what?
Was
It's the house, yeah.
So
He came in
so what does
house.
that mean? What does that mean?
He's
What's the topic of the conversation going to be? Is it going to be business meeting?
No.
Well, probably not. Probably.
Something
Okay. Which?
Something
Casual, yeah. Okay. Did anyone here read lips?
I tried.
I tried, but
Okay.
it was difficult.
You may have noticed one. I'm not very good at reading lips, but I would say I easily would identify one, even though
No.
yes. He said that 3 times, I think, in the text. Okay. No. Okay, but he used only the lips I showed you. Any cultural issues, like for example, where are they from? Would you say? Just when you were looking at it for the first time, where would you have guessed? You would have guessed that they were from the United States. What gave you that idea?
The house, maybe.
Yeah, the house.
style of
Doesn't
the house.
look, It doesn't really look like an Irish house, for
No.
example,
Yeah.
or a British house, to be honest. And would you say that they're rich or poor?
Rich.
Yeah, okay. So maybe you put those in, somehow you try to process that information to help you make your guess before I gave you the audio. Okay, maybe this helped you to some extent. Maybe it didn't. Do you think you do this all the time anyway? You use this strategy anyway, consciously, every time you're listening, or not? Consciously. So you're listening to two native speakers in a conversation, and then you know that, oh, it's in the pub, etc., and it's probably casual, etc. Or maybe you're at a funeral and you see two people who are having a conversation, and you guess because of the context that it's probably sad news or whatever. Okay? Do you use those strategies or not?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Do you think this will help you in general more than the bottom-up skills like trying to identify sounds, or they're both equally important, or this is more important, guessing from context? Guessing from context or knowing the details? Which do you think is more important?
Probably both.
Okay, okay, you say both. Okay, we'll come back to that. Okay, now I'm going to work from the opposite direction. So I'm going to work from bottom up. So I'm going to focus on details. So get a piece of paper and a pen. And I'm going to say 4 expressions. Now some of them are just single words, okay? But some of them are more than one word. Now I want you to write down what you hear, exactly what you hear, and I want you to write down what you think the real word or expression is. Okay, so you have to write down 2 things. One, what is it that you actually hear? And then the other one, what is it in reality? Everyone got that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so what do you have to do?
Write what
Right,
you hear,
what you hear.
and after write what is the
The right.
Exactly. Okay, so the first thing is doing. 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 Okay, the next one. I didn't wanna. 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 Next one. Imtigo. 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 Okay. The last one. Wanted. 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 Okay. With your partner, can you see what they did, and do they have anything similar to you or not? Okay. Okay, right? So, okay. So Joel, what did you hear for the first one? Okay, so everyone, listen.
Doing.
Okay, and what would you say that was?
Doing.
Doing. So how would you have written the way I said it? D,
U,
U,
I, M, G.
you would have said like that.
No,
Okay?
without G,
Without the G.
Yeah.
Okay, so something like that, or maybe some of you went like this. Now, I'm not going to write in the International Phonetic Alphabet, because I don't think you know it, but say. Okay, the next one then. Do you all agree with that?
Yeah.
And you think it's the word doing, yes?
Yeah.
Okay, the next one then. Jessica.
I didn't wanna.
I didn't want it. Now, did I say that again?
I did.
I did one.
So, did I say this?
No.
No.
What did I say?
Didn't one. Without T.
Without the T. Now, is there anything in the middle?
Like E.
Oh, like an
So you'd say, I didn't want it, I didn't want it, I didn't want it. Okay, and what does it mean? What would you expect? I didn't want to, okay? I didn't want to. Okay, the next one was probably the hardest. Okay? Okay, Eduardo, give me your best guess.
Into.
You're saying into. Okay, anyone else?
Aim to go.
You're saying in to go. What did you say?
Aim to go.
In to go. What did you say? In to go. What did you say? In to go. What did you say? In to go. Okay, right. Well, I'll give you a better clue in a minute. And then the last one, what did? So how did you write that?
W-A-T-I-D.
Okay, so something like that. Okay?
Yeah.
Or maybe some of you went like
Yeah.
me, etc. Well, what's that mean?
What?
You were saying, what is it? Like
Yeah.
this? What is it? Okay, now I'm going to read out the sentences again, or sorry, I'm going to read out the expressions again, but this time I'm going to contextualize it in the sentence. Okay? So don't try to focus too much on the individual sounds, okay, or the individual expressions. I'm just going to read out the expressions, sorry, hopefully, if I don't die before the end of this. Okay, alright, so again, you already got the first one, so. You come over here under these false pretenses to see how I'm doing. And he said, I'm doing, okay? So, all of these come from this audio. Okay, you come over here under these false pretenses to see how I'm doing. So that sound at the end of this has disappeared. The next one then. I didn't want to sneak around behind your back. So sneak is sort of like this. So he didn't want, like almost like a snake. Okay. So I didn't want to sneak around behind your back. So he said that as well, and you got that right. Now the next one. I told him to go for it. I told him to go for it. I told him to go for it. What's that mean?
I told them go for it.
I told him to go for it.
I told him.
I told him.
Exactly.
I told them.
I told him. Now, what has happened here is something called elision. Elision is when certain sounds disappear. Okay? So in this case here, you had him changing into im. Now, if you say it quickly, it can sometimes sound like that. Him. Now, what's the problem then?
Them.
Okay? Well, that can happen as well. So you might be ending up with the same sound. Okay? And how do you work out what's the difference? How do you know what's the difference? Context. You have to use that top-down processing that you had at the start. Okay, so I knew this would be the most difficult. The answer for that was him to go. Okay, and then the last one, what did he say? What did she say? Sorry, what did she say? What did she say? So at the end, Ted, this man here, was asking Larry, the other man, what did she say? So this is What? It's like this. What did she say? Okay, what did she say? Okay, so again, which did you find more difficult? When I gave you the expressions right at the end in isolation, or when I put them in context?
Most difficult.
Which did you find more difficult? When I put
The
them
first one.
in
The
isolation?
first one.
Yeah, of course. This is usually the case. So sometimes, even though you don't hear the correct words, you didn't hear the correct words here, for example, Integral is not correct. But then when I put it in the context, you go, oh yeah. So your brain is doing quite a lot of work in that case. Okay, can you look at the other side of the page for me? Okay. So on the back of that page, you will see another text. And inside that text, well, it's a similar topic. You will see that I've asked you to identify weak forms. And I might also ask you to find some addition as well. By the way, the weak form is the opposite of the strong form. Okay? So, doing is the strong form. Doing is the weak form. Okay? So it's when weak forms typically happen when you speak very fast. So when you speak very fast, what words usually change? The important content words or the less important function words? Yeah, the less important function words. So give me some examples. So auxiliary verbs are function verbs. Can you give me give me an example of an auxiliary verb? Will, for example, is an auxiliary verb. Should is an auxiliary verb. Could is an auxiliary. Has, have, are, is, etc. Very often they will change form. What other words are not important words in sentences? Any ideas?
Him.
Pronouns. Him and her. Them. They very often experience some kind of weakening. They change the pronunciation of, it's not him, it's him, it's him. And very often you have elision as well, so the H disappears. Okay, what other words do you have? You have words like of, to. What are they? What do you call those kind of words? Prepositions. Exactly. Okay, so, and the most common one that you very, very often hear is to. I want to go. Okay? Now, sometimes it's so weak that the T disappears. We go, I want to go. Instead of the T, it's elided, so it disappears, and you just get that from. Okay, now reading on the other side of this, reading this part, this text, with your partner, can you identify which words you would expect to reduce in quality? So which words would you expect, oh yeah, this is probably going to be weakened in connected speech? Maybe about 4 or 5 minutes.
It's hard.
See that? Would that change in any way? Those 2 words, would they change in any way? What kind of word is that? No? So what kind of word is that? Is there any word on the board that is similar to that? Is there any word on the board which is similar to that word? Look at the top. Well, how was that spoken? How did they say that? Okay. So, for example, in the first sentence there, that a very important word? Yeah. So it, this word, is that going to be strong? No, is that going to be trying? And that word, is that going to be very strong?
Trying to find.
Okay, so in this case here, is this word going to be very important? Beam. What kind of word is that? Beam. Being trying. What kind of verb is that? Is it an important verb or is it a helping verb? Helping verbs. Helping verbs are not that important in connected speech. So usually they change pronunciation. Now this word here, does that look like anything on the board? Well, exactly. Okay, so you get what pronunciation of that? Trying. And then the next word, is that an important word? Exactly. Okay, so
This one is important. The most.
okay. Does that change or not? Okay, so it changes because it's not very good. Does that change? Is there anything on the board that looks like this?
This one, David.
Anything on the board that looks like trying? So how do you pronounce that?
Trying to be.
Yes, exactly. So that reduces I'll give you another 2 or 3 minutes. 2 minutes really.
But for example here, you're not exactly that much, but it's that is the correct one. Your.
Did you pronounce it?
Your.
Again?
Your.
So is it you or is it changing? Is it you or is it changing a bit? How? Okay, I'll give you another minute. You don't have to get all of them. Story. Yes, it's always all my stories are true stories.
How do you say?
Okay, see this one here. So that's a pronoun. Now say that.
Yeah. Maybe
Again.
again.
Say that for me.
Okay,
So
so
checking.
all the time.
Again.
But
So what's happened there? Are you saying
this
you?
is hard.
You? Are you saying that?
You need to be. You need.
Are you?
You need.
Listen carefully.
You
You.
need to be more.
You say it.
I don't know how to pronounce it.
Oh no, what you said was not the same as me.
Relatable.
Well, I'm not saying it's wrong. Okay, so I'm saying the strong form might be your. What would the weak form
I
be?
do exist. Where? Yeah.
The vowel sound will change. We'll come back. Okay?
Where?
Think about it if it's
In my abroad. Definitely. I say definitely. Because my brain. Andrew, how do you say definitely?
Definitely.
This is an example of elision. That's where some of the sounds disappear. Now, I was going to do slightly more.
Definitely.
Okay, everyone? Okay, alright, so most of you have found some of the most obvious elisions and weak forms. So again, the weak form is when the sound changes, and elision is when the sound disappears completely. So some of you have found some of these Okay, so in the first one, I've already said this to every group. I've been trying to find someone. I've been trying to find someone. You don't really say that. You say, I've been trying to find someone. So what connected speech features do you find? How do you pronounce this? Been. Very often it's just been. This? Try it. So the ing form very often just becomes a n. This? And this?
Find.
Very often the D disappears as well. Find someone. Find someone. There's a reason that this disappears, which I will explain in a later lesson. Okay? Maybe after this. I've been trying to find someone.
No.
You know.
You know.
No.
Is it you or you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the oo becomes a schwa. Okay? You know. But it's hard. Okay? But it's hard. Okay? I say this.
Went out.
I went out, and it depends on your dialect, okay? For me, I would probably pronounce the T. I went out, but very often I won't pronounce the T here, but I went out, okay? So like a glottal stop, like, oh, football, Scotland, okay? That kind of thing. Again, how do you pronounce that? Last night. What's disappeared?
T.
The T in the middle. So very often what happens is if you have many consonants in a consecutively, one of them will disappear. And there's a reason for which ones disappear as well. Devoiced plosives very often disappear. So that means like sounds that go like that, but with no vibration, they very often experience disappearance. Okay? Or elision. As you phrase it more accurately. And well, I got rejected again. Okay? Now, there can be other forms of weakening here or elision. Again, it depends on the dialect. You have to get used to it. But you notice what forms of the words are being reduced? What words are not being reduced? Sometimes this actually can experience reduction. Night. Again, this can be pronounced like night. But again, in general, rejected. That's a bad example. Books. Yeah, you could change the pronunciation to relatable, but that's just a flap, etc. But you notice what the unimportant words, they're the ones that typically experience most of the mutation, okay, the change. Whereas the important words, no, they generally stay the same. Or if you really want to emphasize something, and you say, you are my students, not them, then you don't change it. You wouldn't say, you're my students. That sounds ridiculous, okay? So if you want to be emphatic, you will keep the same form, okay? You will not mutate it. Okay, so the last thing that I'm going to show you is, again, I want you to write down what Larry says. So Larry is the bald man from the video. I'm going to take clips again from Larry, and you're going to say, well, you don't have to write it down if you don't want, okay? Maybe we don't have time for it, just give me a second. Yeah, you could just tell, okay?
Yeah. Larry or?
This is Ted, but Larry will probably speak. Okay, so Larry is the bald. Okay? So listen, and you just put your hand up if you know the answer.
How you doing?
What did he say?
How you doing?
Put your hand up if you know the answer. Put your hand up if you know the answer.
How you doing?
Again?
How you doing?
So what did he say?
How
How are you doing? What did he not say?
How
How are you doing? He didn't say that, he said how are you doing? Okay, the next one.
Nice of you to come over though. Nice of you to come over though. Nice of you to come over though. Nice of you to come over though.
Now say, anyone put your hand up for that?
Has need to come over.
Has need to come over.
Thanks.
As much come over though.
Again?
Do.
What was the first part?
The same as you.
Okay, no. Okay. So the answer is
Ask you to come over though. Ask you to come over though.
nice of you to come over though.
Oh.
Nice of you to come over. What does come over mean again?
Come here.
In this context?
See you.
Visit, yeah. Okay? Nice of you to come over though. But how did he pronounce it? How did he pronounce this?
Nice to
He
you.
didn't pronounce it.
Well,
Disappear.
make that smaller. Change it.
Oh.
Okay? So it sort of sounds like nice to, nice to.
Nice.
And make it even smaller again.
Nice.
Nice to, nice to.
Nice.
Now how would you change this?
Nice.
Yeah
Yeah.
to this?
Nice it.
Would this change?
No, come over there.
Would that?
No.
Would this?
No.
But you understood most of this. Everyone here understood that part. Okay?
Yes.
So if I well, Jesus can stay out there for a moment. Okay, so if I say this, listen again.
Ask you to come over though.
What was the problem for you? There was an obvious problem for you.
Of you.
But no, forget about the language. Listen again. What was an obvious problem for you?
Ask you to come over though.
Oh yeah, the overlap.
Yes, they overlapped and the noise was bad at the
Yeah.
start. You said, and then
And
he,
he's mumbling.
well, it wasn't mumbling because I understood it. It's just that it's very difficult when you're not trained in that. Okay, so again, when you look at the audios from Netflix or whatever, or listen to the audios from Netflix, it's one person speaking, then the next person speaking, then the next person speaking, and it's very, very rarely overlapping. The reason I chose this is because this is an improvised comedy and the people generally speak over each other, interrupt, have false starts, etc., etc. So the more I could get, the closest I could get to conversation was this. I couldn't find any better ones than this. Okay? So it's very difficult to do this, but you can do it down the pub for free or wherever with your native speaking friends. Next one. So this is more at the end, I want you to listen.
Ted told me he was interested in seeing her, and I told him to go for it.
What did she say?
I tell them to go for it.
Again?
I tell them to go. I
told
tell
him.
him.
I
I
told
tell
him to
him
go
to
for
go for it.
I told him.
Yes, you're all sort of right. Okay, I told him to go for it. But did she say him?
No.
And I told him to go for it.
I told him to go for it. Now that didn't change to M, it changed to im. Okay, so Mary, she kept im.
And I told him to go for it.
I told him. It sounds like told Tim.
Yeah.
Told him. I told him to go. Okay? And then the last one, again, this is more at the end.
Well, I was kind of wondering.
I was kind of
wondering.
And what does that mean?
I was thinking.
Was, kind, what's the next word?
Wondering.
Of. And of becomes what?
Kinda.
Kinda. Nice. Okay? And what kind of word is of? Is it an important content word or a function word? Function word. If you want to get better at conversational comprehension, you have to get better at decoding the weak forms of conversational speech. This is the thing that causes you huge problems. Huge problems. And then the last thing that I want, just before I let you go on your break, yes, 2 minutes. Okay, if you want to do practice on your own, you say, well, I don't know how to find videos or whatever, or material where people actually do use this. Well, go to this website, which I always recommend, Youglish. And up at the top, you will find varieties of English, and I chose in this case Irish English. Okay, well, actually, I didn't choose Irish English, but this person just happens to be Irish. And I chose 1-2. Okay, how do you pronounce 1-2? And there are 3,207 examples of this. Listen to the way he speaks.
We're right behind you. The family is right behind you.
How is he saying this, by the way? Right behind. Right behind.
You have to match. We want to see you at that pitch.
Again?
One time.
One time. If you go on to the next one,
But long term, I don't want to be any.
One, two.
she said want. This wasn't wanna. She said want. So it depends on your dialect, and it depends on the person very often and situations. You might hear some people say wanna, and then in another part of the conversation say wanta. So it's not like even the one person could change from one to the other. Okay? If I was saying this, so it's the same person again. Listen to the way he pronounces this word.
What I didn't know then, what I now know was depression. From the outside looking in,
Looking in. It's got the strength we need. That's exactly what we're looking for. Again, this man is from Dublin. Looking. Not looking. He didn't say looking. However, if you go to the next one,
the doctor held him up there, looking at him, and his face was.
now that's a little bit less clear, but she probably, if to my ear, said looking. She's a little bit. And then the last one I'll show you here.
Offering support, looking for their loved.
Yeah, he was a bit more. He articulated the ing sound again. Okay, but again, notice he's not in a conversation.
No, it's
Okay. A lot of these people, you want, if you can find conversation or listen to conversation, you will find connected speech all the time. But again, remember, it's very difficult to do it without context. So remember when I chose the individual words or expressions, you found that very difficult with this intego. Nobody got it right. But when I gave you the full sentence, yeah, there you got it. The other problem, or the other thing that I showed you, is very often the visual clues will help you, and you won't have to do any work. The problem for you is you need to do all of these at the same time. And this stuff happens. Okay? So you can get the noise, you can get the overlapping speech, etc. You want to be able to process all of this information simultaneously, very, very quickly. Okay? This is hard. Okay, so that is the end of the lesson, and I will be giving you a questionnaire like I gave you before to see if you have asking you about your reflections about the performance during the video and with this and related to top-down processing and bottom-up processing. And which do you think you use most often when you really think about it? Okay, so say thank you to the people on the screen. Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.